Not affiliated.
Not affiliated.
Not affiliated.
Not affiliated.
You need to see this. It's something that'll change the world and human life as we know it.
He knows. He's seen the light.
When Monty talks, it's painful.
Monty, you have been so instrumental in kind of pointing me in the right direction.
It was about looking at your character defects in spirituality.
It's the integration of clinical practices with the 12 steps.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people. He's got a lot of energy, and sometimes when you don't have so much energy, he picks you up and carries you.
Having the Monty Man there certainly helps.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
The views expressed on this special broadcast of the Take 12 radio show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. KHLT is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Now here's that guy who's getting less popular minute by minute. Your host, the Multi-Man.
Well, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Welcome aboard the Good Ship Recovery here at Take12Radio.com on your internet dial. I am your host, of course, the Monty Man. And you can visit our website, our main website, for many more shows. We have over 3,000 shows at Take12Radio.com. And you can spell it out, Take12, T-W-E-L-V-E, or just the number 12. Either way, it'll take you to the same place. Now, here's our email address, and I really want you to write this down because I really want to hear your comments about this show. You could comment on our YouTube version if you like, but I'd really like, you're probably going to get a response from me if you send me an email. And that email address is take12radio@comcast.net. That's take12radio@comcast.net. We're going to be talking about something that I really think it's really vital that I share this with you. I've talked about this before. It's been quite a while. And I want to thank Pat R. from Ireland. Pat, he suggested this topic, and I think he's right on point by asking me to do a show on it. And it is on the 11th tradition of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, those of you who are in other mainstream 12-step fellowships that are using, by permission of AA, the 12 steps and 12 traditions, this would apply to you too. Narcotics Anonymous, Celebrate Recovery, whoever you may be. Excuse me. And so, thank you, Pat, by the way. Greetings from Oregon, USA, to beautiful Ireland. Thank you for being a loyal listener, brother. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you pass this show on to people, all of you. So for those of you that may not know what the 11th tradition is, I'm going to be reading this directly out of the AA conference approved literature called 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. And keep in mind, this is in regards to the public relations policy of the organization Alcoholics Anonymous and many other 12-step fellowships that follow by these traditions. And this is what it reads. It says, Tradition 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. Now, so here's the deal. We're going to be looking at this whole chapter here, and it's very short. It's only a couple of pages. And what I'm going to do is, as soon as we come back from the break, because I have to take a break because that's how these shows get paid for, is by sponsors. And by the way, I don't make a red cent, you guys, off of any of this. I want you to know that. The money that we get from sponsorship grants goes to keep us on the air and pay to keep the studio running, but it doesn't go into my pocket. It goes to pay the bills here. So we have to take a break. But when we come back, Mr. Chris S., who is the number 2 most downloaded AA circuit speaker in the world. He is also the former chairman of the board for my board of directors here at Take 12 Radio. He and I, back in 2013, we did a workshop on the 12 steps and 12 traditions out of the 12 and 12. It is the most comprehensive audio study on the 12 and 12 ever produced. You can get the entire study for free on our website at take12radio.com. Just go to the left under workshops and click on the little green microphone where it says walking through the 12 and 12. You can download every single one of the workshops that are there. But I'm going to take a segment out of the workshop we did on Tradition 11 after we come back from the break. I can't think of a person who is more educated, who understands the traditions better than Chris S. And he and I are going to be having a chat about this. He's going to be talking more than I am on Tradition 11. Then when that's done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to discuss with you and explain to you how Take 12 Radio and recovery radio in general fits in this picture, whether this is a tradition violation or not. You're going to find out. So hold on to your recovery horses. We'll be right back after the break with Chris S. on Tradition 11. Don't go away. This is vital stuff. Exciting, informative, and phenomenal is the Recovery Northwest Project on Saturday, September 5th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Clark Community College in beautiful Vancouver, Washington. September is National Recovery Month, and what better way to celebrate than to attend the Recovery Northwest Project. Recovery presenters, exhibitors, and some of the most incredible people of the Pacific Northwest coming together to carry the message of hope in recovery from substance abuse and its co-occurring mental health challenges. The Recovery Northwest Project is a collective group of all types of entities in Washington and Oregon with a common goal of bringing recovery awareness to the local, regional, and national communities. Don't miss the Recovery Northwest Project. Visit recoverynw.org.
Origins Recovery Centers provides integrated inpatient treatment for substance abuse and co-occurring disorders. At Origins, clients receive expert medical, clinical, and spiritual care individually designed for their needs. Our clients leave Origins with the foundation upon which they will build the rest of their lives. Call now to speak with an admissions specialist. Our toll-free number is 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Yeah, Mr. Don Henley and the gang, Dirty Laundry. I love music. All right. All right. So next up here is, this is a segment from the workshop called the 12, walking through the 12 steps and 12 traditions. This is a segment from Tradition 11. If you have a 12 and 12 there with you, we are reading, or Chris is reading on page 180. Page 180. Or you can go to aa.org and you can click on the link to read in the 12 and 12, page 180, Tradition 11. So here's Chris. Check this out, and then when he's done, I'll come back and we'll talk some more.
Tradition 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. So that's where we always must. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. What does that mean? That means no pictures and no last names and no specific person speaking for Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
And you are not to say you are an Alcoholics Anonymous member if your last name is used or a picture of you is used.
Exactly.
That is breaking this tradition. The other things that so many tradition police think are anonymity breaks, that's their opinion. It's not necessarily an anonymity break. A lot of times it's their opinion that it's an anonymity break. And I'll tell you what, I don't hold very high standards with opinions. I'd much rather have facts or experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without its legions of well-wishers, AA could never have grown as it has. Throughout the world, immense and favorable publicity of every description has been the principal means of bringing alcoholics into our fellowship. In AA offices, clubs, and homes, telephones ring constantly. One voice says, "I read a piece in the newspaper." Another, "We heard a radio program." And still another, "We saw a moving picture," or "We saw something about AA on television." It is no exaggeration to say that half of AA's memberships have been led to us through channels like these. The inquiring voices are not all alcoholics or their families. Doctors read medical papers about Alcoholics Anonymous and call for more information. Clergymen see articles in their church journals and also make inquiries. Employers learn that great corporations have set their approval upon us and wish to discover what can be done about alcoholism in their own firms. Therefore, a great responsibility fell upon us to develop the best possible public relations policy for Alcoholics Anonymous. Through many painful experiences, we have arrived at what that policy ought to be. It is the opposite in many ways of usual promotional practice. We found that we had to rely upon the principle of attraction rather than promotion. Now, again, Monty, why I would call for a rewriting of this tradition is this paragraph is saying the public relations policy is based on attraction, not promotion. How many times have you heard an alcoholic or an addict in a support group say, "It's attraction, not promotion," when they're trying to not do something to be helpful?
Right. They totally leave out it's our public relations policy.
Yeah. When you read the chapter in the big book on working with others, that basically tells you to go out and ring all the doorbells and tell everybody you're a recovered alcoholic and you need people to work with. So again, people read this paragraph and they think they're off the hook. They can get theirs and then just go to the closed-minded discussion meeting on Wednesday, and that's that. And it's really it's not written well. Is saying there should be more about what we should be doing, and less I understand what we're not supposed to do, and he's going to go over all of that. But what can we do to be of help out there in the world? Let's see how these two contrasting ideas, attraction and promotion, work out. A political party wishes to win an election, so it advertises the virtues of its leadership to draw votes. A worthy charity wants to raise money. Forthwith, its letterhead shows the name of every distinguished person whose support can be obtained. Much of the political, economic, and religious life of the world is dependent upon public-sized leadership. People who symbolize causes and ideas fill a deep human need. We of AA do not question that, but we do have to soberly face the fact that being in the public eye is hazardous, especially for us. By temperament, nearly every one of us had been an irrepressible promoter, and the prospect of a society composed almost entirely of promoters was frightening. Considering this explosive factor, we knew we had to exercise self-restraint. Again, they're talking about promoting Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what they're talking about here. And to a degree, I believe Bill wrote this in reaction to some things that were going on in Alcoholics Anonymous in the very early 50s, the late 40s and very early 50s. Most of the things that he was talking about in the traditions were meant to protect the fellowship. And you had wackadoos out there like Clarence Snyder and a bunch of other people who were just off the hook, wheels off, promoting things, and they had a specific type of AA that they believed in, and you had to do this way, and Bill Wilson was horrified by this because he really believed that some of these people were trying to define what Alcoholics Anonymous was, and they were wrong about their definitions in Bill's eyes. So, this is a lot of this chapter or this particular tradition is in response to that. The way this restraint paid off was startling. It resulted in more favorable publicity of Alcoholics Anonymous than could possibly have been obtained through all the arts and abilities of AA's best press agents. Obviously, AA had to be publicized somehow, so we resorted to the idea that it would be far better to let our friends do this for us. Precisely that has happened, to an unbelievable extent. Veteran newsmen, trained doubters that they are, have gone all out to carry AA's message. To them, we are something more than the source of good stories. On almost every news front, the men and women of the press have attached themselves to us as friends. In the beginning, the press could not understand our refusal of all personal publicity. They were genuinely baffled by our insistence upon anonymity. Then they got the point. Here was something rare in the world, a society which said it wished to publicize its principles and its work, but not its individual members. The press was delighted with this attitude. Ever since, these friends have reported AA with an enthusiasm which the most ardent members would find hard to match. There was, well, not anymore, Monty, because I'll tell you, a story is a story is a story today in today's press.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get Colin Farrell, or if you can get one of these guys sober, there's a million of them that are going off the tracks in Hollywood. If you can get them sober and talk about the AA meetings in your article, you're going to go ahead and do it. There are some journalists that still have, and feel an ethical responsibility to watch for anonymity, but then there's some that don't really care at all.
Sure.
There was actually a time when the press of America thought the anonymity of AA was better for us than some of our own members did. At one point, about 100 of our society were breaking anonymity at the public level. He's talking about Cleveland. With perfectly good intent, these folks declared that the principle of anonymity was horse and buggy stuff, something appropriate to AA's pioneering days. They were sure that AA could go faster and further if it availed itself of modern publicity methods. AA, they pointed out, included many persons of local, national, or international fame. Provided they were willing, and many were, why shouldn't their membership be publicized, thereby encouraging others to join us? These were plausible arguments, but happily our friends of the writing profession disagreed with them. What was going on in the 40s, Monty, were people were putting their pictures in the paper or their first and last names with contact AA and their personal phone numbers. They were doing that as 12-step work, and probably most of them were doing it with good intentions. But Bill in New York saw that as not really doing what Bill wanted everybody to do, which is go through the local offices.
Right.
The foundation wrote letters to practically every news outlet in North America, setting forth our public relations policy of attraction rather than promotion, and emphasizing personal anonymity as AA's greatest protection. Since that time, editors and rewrite men have repeatedly deleted names and pictures of members from AA copy. Frequently, they have reminded ambitious individuals of AA's anonymity policy. They have even sacrificed good stories to this end. Again, Monty, not necessarily much anymore. The force of their cooperation has certainly helped. Only a few AA members are left who deliberately break anonymity at the public level. In this brief, is the process by which AA's Tradition 11 was constructed. To us, however, it represents far more than a sound public relations policy. It is more than a denial of self-seeking. This tradition is a constant and practical reminder that personal ambition has no place in AA. In it, each member becomes an active guardian of our fellowship. And again, that's a short tradition. It basically says what not to do. It gives us some reasons to not do it. But it should be addressing what we should be doing with our 12-step work. If we're to be in the place where we're to be of maximum benefit to God and fellow man, if we're to be in the place where we continually are asking ourselves, how do we help the still sick and suffering alcoholic, we need to know what we can do. And it's not in this tradition. This tradition just tells us what not to do. So it's easy to infer that we should do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and is it because you think it's because the fear is that if we write a pamphlet or a book on what we should do, it's going to look like a contradiction? Well,
the NCATV, if you go online and you read, you can go for, you can Google this. It's called Anonymity is Not Secrecy, and it was penned by the NCADD. Our good friend Rick Orstrom had a lot to do with that, by the way. And this is a statement that the NCADD puts out, basically saying what you can do and what you should be doing. You know, they're very careful to say we're not to admit to membership in any specific 12-step fellowship. You know, we're not to do that, but we still have an incredible latitude to be helpful. You know, whether that's joining Faces and Voices or the anonymous people. There's like a number of movements now, Monty,
right.
where people, the rallies for recovery are all over the place. I mean, these are things that need to be supported. And I'll tell you, if the 10 million people who were sober would support these things, we could change the face of addiction and alcoholism treatment worldwide. It would be amazing what could be accomplished with 10 million votes. But I'm not too hopeful. I think we can make a dent in it, Monty, but
yeah,
too hopeful.
Yeah, and speaking of which, to give it a plug, we've got what has been deemed nationally as Recovery Month just around the corner, September.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's something that should be supported, you know. But as far as getting everybody on board, I think the damage has been done.
Yeah,
it's been done by these traditions.
Yeah, and you've got it. You know, it's that you got the battle from within. You've got these tradition demigods. You know that
listen.
like to,
you know, I support 100%. I support the spirit of these traditions.
Yeah,
I believe in every one of them. I believe in the spirit of tradition 11 and 12. You know, I think that it could have been laid out better. You know, I think it leads people to believe they're totally off the hook and they don't need to do anything. They can just go to their little group and everything is fine.
Let me ask you this. Now, isn't there in our literature of Alcoholics Anonymous something about one of the reasons that these guys didn't dedicate full time to all this stuff was because they had jobs and all that kind of thing, and then we've discovered later on that most of them were unemployed?
You know, they found that the people who kept really, really active, working with other people, are the people who got sober. The people that found better things to do, including jobs, were a lot of times the people who relapsed. Remember, they were low bottom alcoholics. You know, the first 100 or so.
Yeah.
You know, the first people in the first 10 years. These were people who'd been committed multiple times, and they were in really bad shape. They needed super good involvement to be able to stay sober. And you know, one thing Dr. Bob was doing was Dr. Bob was making you work with people. He was helping you to get through the steps, but he was making you work with people right after that too, and engaging your family in the quiet times and the house parties and all the other things. And you were to be real involved. You know, if you had any free time, they were expecting you to go to the hospitals or the sanitariums and be talking to alcoholics. You needed to go out and find alcoholics to work with. You know, there were no meetings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to go find people.
All right. So that closes off that segment with Chris S. On Tradition 11, the workshop that he and I put together back in 2013. Again, if you'd like to hear that in its entirety, Tradition 11 is about an hour. You can go to take12radio.com, click on under the workshops, walking through the 12 and 12, and step 1 through 12 and Tradition 1 through 12 is all there. All right, so having said that, did you hear what he was saying? That we can't get off the hook and say, well, I can't go out there and talk about recovery. I can't go out there and tell people that I'm a recovered alcoholic or addict, or that I'm in recovery, because that's promotion. That's not attraction. No, that's not true. Listen, what this tradition says is very clear to anyone who can understand the English language. It says the first 4 words, our public relations policy. And it says is based on attraction rather than promotion. Not your personal stories, not your experience, strength, and hope. It's the organization's public relations policy. That's it. What about we need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films? Monty, aren't you breaking the anonymity tradition by doing this radio thing? No, I'm not. And you're going, what? But you're on the radio. Okay, let me explain. I'm going to read you 3 sections. This is from our website. And I want you to listen very carefully to what I do not say. The first one, and this is at the top of our website, the links are, is under About Us, meaning Take 12 Radio and KHLT. Listen to what I'm not telling you. It says, KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take12Radio.com is a recovery talk and positive music internet radio station. The world's oldest and only recovery radio station broadcasting recovery talk and positive music 24 hours a day with a unique recovery-focused show updated 3 days a week. In addition to our weekly shows, we have recovery workshops and special broadcasts that air monthly. Monty, the Monty Man, is CEO and executive producer of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and the Take 12 Recovery radio shows. With over 30 years of experience working on the pastoral staff of local congregations and drug and alcohol services, Monty's work is primarily with those who have a desire to become whole through the process of recovery. And then there's a quote here. The internet is a community all its own, and like any community, its population is filled to the overflowing with hurting and desperate people searching for a way out of drug, alcohol, and other addictions. I believe that the only way to experience total recovery from this type of bondage is through accountability, education, and a relationship with a power greater than ourselves, God. Though there are some who experience a wonderful freedom from active drug and alcohol abuse without turning their will and their life over to the care of the Creator, many of them never completely recover. If they do, it is only through the mercy of the God they have yet to know. It is in the context of the original program of Alcoholics Anonymous and the direction of a loving God that Take12Radio.com and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are effective. Let me repeat that one part. It is in the context of the original program of Alcoholics Anonymous and the direction of a loving God that Take12Radio.com and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are effective. We at KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take12Radio.com know that we have more than a partial remedy for the addict and alcoholic. We have the solution in the 12 steps that guide us to the complete and final answer. A loving God who expresses himself by his complete understanding of his creation, not our limited understanding of him. We hope all of our shows will point the listener to the final and complete answer to our powerlessness. God. Monty lives in Albany, Oregon with his wife Marcia and son Colin. Monty's oldest son Cameron and wife Amber reside in McMinnville, Oregon. Monty works full-time at the KHLT Recovery Broadcasting Studio and is the executive producer, of the Addiction Recovery Support Services in Albany, Oregon. Monty's faith is not based in religion, but in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Quote, we give all credit to our Heavenly Father for his incredible grace and provision in the work of Take 12 Recovery Radio, end quote. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is registered with the Corporation Division of the State of Oregon and is a recovery service organization, not a profit-making business. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take 12 Radio are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. Okay, that's under About Us. Now, what it says, in the context of the original program of AA and the direction of a loving God, that Take 12 Radio and KHLT are effective. In other words, the utilization of what is in context in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. The program. It doesn't say the fellowship, okay? It says the program. It means the 12-step process. We believe in the 12-step process originated by Alcoholics Anonymous. Notice the very last sentence. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take 12 Radio are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. Got it? Good. Number 2. Again, listen to what I'm not saying. This is under the heading Disclaimer. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take12Radio.com claims no affiliation with any particular 12-step fellowship. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take12Radio.com are directed by its own 7 traditions. We are a faith-based, solution-focused radio station with an emphasis on 12-stepology. To say we are faith-based means that we believe that left to an individual's own devices, they cannot fully recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Those who are diagnosed with the illness of addiction, alcoholism, or co-occurring mental health challenges require a power greater than themselves in order to be restored to sanity. Okay, got that? That's the disclaimer. All right, here's our, and this is the last one, our traditions of professionalism. And there's 7. Number 1, our affiliation. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take12Radio.com has no affiliation with any particular 12-step fellowship. We are a separate entity guided by the Spirit of a loving God. Number 2, our primary purpose. Our primary purpose is to carry the message of recovery through talk radio and positive music, utilizing 12-stepology as well as other proven recovery programs, methods, and philosophies. Number 3, our anonymity policy. Though we are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship, it is our intent to honor the traditions of all mainstream 12-step recovery fellowships. We therefore request those guests on our shows who wish to use their full names not to affiliate themselves with a specific 12-step fellowship. For those wishing to affiliate, we prefer they use first name and last initial when on our show. We do not, however, take responsibility for a person's personal choice in how they refer to themselves. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting reserves the right to edit any content we deem as inappropriate. Number 4, employer-employee. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is not currently an employer, nor do we employ any person or persons for the operation and management of our station. Number 5, organization and funding. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is registered with the Secretary of the State of Oregon's Corporation Division. All funds received through donations, sponsorship grants, and our advertising program go to the operation and maintenance of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and Take12Radio.com. Here's number 6, ownership and management. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is owned and operated by Monty and Marcia Meyer of Albany, Oregon. With the exception of independent broadcasters, all broadcasts are property of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting and are protected under federal copyright laws and may not be duplicated or distributed without written or special permission of the ownership of this station. KHLT and Take 12 Radio claim no responsibility for the content provided by independent broadcasters, nor do we engage in their money management or sponsorship advertising practices, providing they adhere to our traditions of professionalism. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting, Take12Radio.com, and Meditorial are legal and recognized trademarks. And number 7, attitude of gratitude. We absolutely insist on having fun and showing our gratitude to God for His grace, provision, and love. So did you catch what we're not saying? Did you listen closely? Those of you who may believe that we are violating the 11th tradition, did you notice what we don't say? Nowhere in what I read to you in About Us, our disclaimer, or our traditions of professionalism, which is at the very top of all of our main web pages, Nowhere do we claim any membership in a 12-step fellowship. You would be hard-pressed to ever hear me say that I am a member of, and then fill in the blank. You won't hear me say it. I'm not going to say it, and I haven't said it. Now, I will tell you that I have made statements such as, I attended a particular meeting. Attendance at a meeting does not make one a member. Let me say that again. Attendance at a meeting does not make one a member. You're a member when you say you are, and I have never said that I was a member of any particular 12-step fellowship. And KHLT and Take 12 Radio do not claim any affiliation with any particular 12-step fellowship. Let me prove it to you. Here are the two main disclaimers that we use on all of our shows. Here's the first one.
The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
I think that's pretty clear, don't you? That's Marcia. That's our PR person. She's also my wife. She keeps me in line. We claim no affiliation. None. Here's our second main disclaimer by Wade Coffee.
The views expressed on this special broadcast of the Take 12 radio show do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting or its affiliates. KHLT is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Did you catch that? Once again, we're not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. If you want to try and take a stab at it and guess if I'm actually a registered member of a 12-step fellowship, that's your business. But I don't claim that. I don't do that. Now, I kind of do a double whammy here. You don't hear me use my last name. Now, I could use my last name all over the place. You know why? Because I don't tell you that I'm a member. Okay? Forget about Take 12 Radio and KHLT. I never say that I'm a member of. And you won't hear me use my last name except where is required by law and in very, 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 very rare occasions. I'm known as the Monty Man. And the reason for that is to kind of give us a double protection when it comes to this tradition. My last name, and I will be glad to tell you, is Monty Meyer. I have to use my last name when it comes to our registration with the Corporation Division of the state of Oregon as a broadcaster. It's the law. Traditions do not trump the law. The law trumps the traditions. But here again, I have never claimed to be a member. KHLT Recovery Broadcasting is not associated with any 12-step fellowship. Therefore, it would not be fair for you to assume that Take 12 Radio is AA or NA or CA or NEA. We're not. Take 12 Radio is not Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, so some of you are saying, yeah, but you talk so much about it. You read from the big book and the 12 and 12 and the NA basic text and the other literature and so forth. Okay, okay. But I will not personally violate the 11th tradition by telling you that by using my last name in addition to telling you what fellowship I'm a member of. I won't do it, and I haven't done it. Our Wednesday show, Marv R. and Bruce H. Now, I will tell you that sometimes we do post pictures, and those pictures are up. Those we ask those folks not to use their last initials. I mean, not to use their last names, and not to say they're members of. And 99.9% of them don't. Now, people will slip up once in a while, and that's why we reserve the right to edit. But you see, KHLT and Take 12 Radio is not responsible for adhering to the traditions. We're not. We don't claim any membership. We don't claim any affiliation. Do you understand? Gosh, I hope so. So you can sit there all day long and make assumptions I do attend recovery support meetings. I'm not going to tell you which ones. I am not trying to promote AA or NA or any fellowship. I'm not using my last name in promoting that. I don't do that. That's an integrity break. Heck with the traditions break. That's a break of integrity. I just don't do that. So there you go. That is there. I would encourage you to read the book, Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers, when it comes to this whole thing about anonymity, because you can break personal anonymity above the level of press, radio, and films, and you can break it below the level of press, radio, and films. If you're so anonymous that people within your 12-step fellowship don't know your last name, that's a tradition violation, by the way, because you're breaking it above the level of press, radio, and films. And it's supposed to be at the level of press, radio, and films only. Again, it's the 12-step fellowship's public relations policy, not your personal stories. You can share your personal stories from one coast to the next, as long as you don't use your full name attached to and promoting your particular 12-step fellowship. If you do use your full name, simply do not mention which 12-step fellowship you are a member of. Very simple. You can say, I attend a 12-step meeting, I work all 12 steps, I was at a 12-step meeting, I was at a recovery meeting. You're not mentioning what the name of the organization is. And the biggest reason for this has to do with pride and humility. It really does. Let me tell you, if we go around boasting that we're representing Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous or whoever, and we start pointing at ourselves as you know, the big shot, then we're going to do damage to these fellowships. And it's a very dangerous thing. So we want to avoid that at all costs. But Take 12 Radio and many other recovery radio stations, you know, if they're not claiming any affiliation, then they're not affiliated, right? All right. My email is take12radio@comcast.net. If you want to find out what recovery fellowship I'm a member of, I'll tell you privately, but I'll never tell it to you at the public level of press, radio, or film. I won't do it. And you won't get it out of me. Make all the assumptions you want. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to close out the show. So hold on to your recovery horses. We'll be right back.
Men, women, and their families experience tremendous pain and suffering due to the struggles they face from substance abuse and its co-occurring mental health challenges. They need to find a safe place for peace and healing. Therapia Addiction Healing Center was born out of a deep desire to provide that safe and powerful healing environment. Therapia exists to help people recover from addictions by developing and maintaining healthy, meaningful relationships with God, self, and others. To speak with an addiction specialist, call 1-855-652-4325. That's 1-855-652-4325. Or visit our website at www.therapia.net. Therapia Addiction Healing Center, restoring lives one step at a time.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! It's the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio. And as a journalist, I get a ton of literature from folks to read every single year. And I simply can't get to everything. But there is one publication I never miss. It's the 12-Step Gazette. This is an award-winning recovery magazine for Philly, South Jersey, and surrounding counties, and is distributed nationwide and can be viewed even on the internet. Rehabs, detoxes, helplines, puzzles, classifieds, columnists, events, an hilarious humor page, and so much more, all found in the 12-Step Gazette. To get your copy of the 12-Step Gazette, visit www.12stepgazette.com today.
They say I'm crazy, but I have a good time.
Life's been good to me. Thank you, Joe. All right, so welcome back to the show. We've been talking about the 11th tradition, particularly of the organization Alcoholics Anonymous. Reading from page 180 of the 12 and 12. And, how does Take 12 Radio fit in with all of that? Are we breaking traditions? And no, we're not. It's pretty obvious that we're not. We're not affiliated. And personal anonymity? Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I am done being anonymous. Now, I'm not talking about my anonymity as in regards to what fellowship I claim membership in. I'm not gonna tell you that. I'm not going to broadcast that. I'm not going to express that at the public level of press, radio, and film. I'm not going to do it. But I am not going to be anonymous when it comes to my personal story of experience, strength, and hope, my personal experience, my personal journey from hell to light, to hell to light, to back to hell and light, I don't know how many times, and now in the graces of God Almighty. I am not keeping that from people. One of the reasons that people do not believe that this 12-step process works is because people have been hiding in the basements of their churches and meeting halls for so long, not sharing with the general public the wonder and the beauty of becoming a recovered alcoholic, a recovered addict. They don't want to share it because they don't understand the anonymity tradition. They don't understand. They think it means secrecy, and it doesn't. No one's going to know if you don't tell them. So part of it's our fault. You don't have to disclose, and you don't have to claim membership in a particular fellowship. You certainly should not be representing any of those fellowships in order to share your story. Anonymity does not mean secrecy. Bottom line. So what didn't you hear? Those three main portions that really explain Take 12 Radio. You didn't hear any reference to membership in any 12-step fellowship. You didn't, our affiliation. These are on our website. They also hang in our studio, in our audio booth. Anybody can come by and read them. It's open to the general public. And so there that is there, right? Okay. Bottom line, anonymity does not mean secrecy. If you're keeping this wonderful thing called a new life in recovery a secret, you are cheating people, including yourself. Tradition 11, our public relations policy. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. That's what it says in the 12 and 12. If you'd like to check out all the workshops on the 12 steps and 12 traditions with Chris S., go to take12radio.com, click underneath workshops, click on Walking Through the 12 and 12. Also, we have 34 one-hour workshops in MP3 audio format called Walking Through the Big Book with Chris S. And by the way, that is the most comprehensive, detailed, incredible audio study, not Big Book share, study of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous ever produced. And you can get it free. You can also buy the DVD if you'd like on our recovery store. And it goes right into keeping Take 12 Radio on the air. But you can download those free. And share them with they make great Big Book studies if you're into that kind of thing. And I hope you are. All right. I hope that kind of clears things up. Pat R. from Ireland, thank you so much for suggesting this topic. I appreciate it so very, very much. Hey, listen, this coming Wednesday, by the way, our topic is going to be the 7 Deadly Sins Part 2. We're going to be talking about anger, gluttony, envy, and sloth on The Great Reality with Marv R. and Bruce H. on next Wednesday's show, so you don't want to miss that. We got some great shows coming up for you. National Recovery Month is just around the corner. Until our next broadcast, my friends, brothers and sisters, all of you, whether you hate me or love me, I'm wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Kitty, 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 kitty.